5:30, South Kingstown School Building Committee meeting here at the Town Hall Chambers on November 20th. Let's do our roll call. Dave Palazetti.
Aye.
Michael Petraza.
Here.
I'm Kate Massananti. I'm here. Luke Martin.
Here.
Chip McGarr.
Here.
Terry Lynch.
Here.
Bob Littlefield.
Here.
All right, and I believe Jim Manny is 1 minute away. To my knowledge, we've received no public correspondence from to our school building committee email or to our kind of our group. So that's going to bring us, we're going to truck right along, folks. It's going to bring us right to item number 3, discussion update overall new South Kingstown High School project updates. It's kind of my blanket agenda item.
You'll have to give me a moment to get situated here. All right, good evening, everyone. We are here to give an update on the school building committee, to the school building committee on the new South Kingstown High School. So taking a look at our overall schedule, as you can see where we are on the red bar with construction still in front of us right now is our remaining guaranteed maximum price agreement that will be proposing in January, still with our anticipated fall of 2027 opening of the new high school. Looking at some of our milestones, we have submitted our full building permit to the town building department and Union Fire District. That is for all of we are currently operating under a foundations permit. This permit is for the remaining building. We have since met with Four Leaf, our third-party code reviewer, and the building department, Union Fire District, gave them a chance to discuss amongst themselves the process for having the third-party review of the permit documents. They have been sent those documents, and we expect a response from them within 10 days. So, so far it's been a great process. They've been wonderful to work with. And we'll continue with the collaboration once we get those comments back.
10 days from today or 10 days from the 10th?
It's 10 days from yesterday.
Okay.
Yes. So 9 days.
I was like, because it's been 10 days.
Yes. No. We do have the remaining bids coming in mid-December, as we mentioned. They have been continuing to do scope reviews for bids that have been received to date. They are almost daily with the meetings with various bidders to ensure that the bids that they have presented are full and complete. That process will continue for the next few weeks. After that process is complete, they will narrow down best and final price from the lowest qualified contractors, and pull together the guaranteed maximum price contract. So between the 15th and the 8th, we'll be going through reviews and negotiations with Gilbane. and then looking for building committee recommendation on the 8th and recommendation to council over on the 12th.
So as I was kind of reviewing these dates at our school committee meeting last week, and I'm curious, at any point in time, we've always made it like school building committee, town council. Do we need school committee approval in either of those in this scenario at all?
No, this is a financial agreement, so this does not need to go before school committee.
Great, thank you.
We obviously can give an update, though.
Okay, just a question on how we're doing for responsiveness from contractors. Are we getting multiple contractors for each bid package, or are we struggling to get responses?
As far as I've seen so far, it's been extremely responsive. Mark, I don't know if you have any other thoughts about how the bids are coming in as far as how many bidders we're receiving, the level of interest?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. For the most part, most of these bid packages are coming in with a minimum of 3. There has been a couple of them that came in, like the theater rigging and that kind of stuff, came in with just 1, but it's the basis of a design around a company called Barbizon. They do like all of the theater stuff. They actually are involved in the design with the design team ahead of time. So they were the only ones that bid it because everybody else knows that it's probably going to be their stuff anyways. But for the most part, yes, we are seeing multiple bidders.
No, that's great to hear. And in the one, the specialty items where you get like 1 bidder or something like that, how are you guys going through to ensure we have cost fairness?
Yeah, we have. So we haven't gotten to those yet, and
Okay.
we're where those bids are due tomorrow, I believe, for the specialties and on the equipment and all that other kind of stuff. So those will all be coming in tomorrow. So we'll know tomorrow from how many bid it, and then we'll set up bid scopes and scope review.
Have a nice talk.
Yeah, masonry. I think we only received 2, if I remember correctly, maybe 3. So masonry was another one that was a little light, but
Yeah, those are easier generally to look out at the industry and know what masonry prices are, but those
Yeah.
specialty items sometimes are, folks try to set their own prices. So I mean, how do you gauge that with other projects? I mean, you guys, Gilbane, have done a lot, so I'm sure you could look at the other high school projects.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got a whole background on all the other projects that we've done that we can go back and take a look at to see how they are stacking up against previous projects. So,
Okay, great.
yeah.
Don't sit down for too long. As far as RIDE is concerned, we are tracking the 24th for the 60% construction document approval. That one's up in the air again. These are anticipated dates. These are not locked-in dates with RIDE. RIDE kind of works at their own pace. I know that they've been shuffling around various other projects in the state, so it's not holding up anything as far as our reimbursement process. We've gotten the approvals we need to with the work that we've got going for the next several months. So it's not a concern, but we'll see if we hit our target of the 24th. That would be nice. And then the same thing with Curtis Corner. That one for the demolition and site stabilization is under an expedited review. So right now we're tracking December 5th for that. We just need that approval prior to awarding bids, which we're not anticipating to do until the beginning of next year. So again, if that date flexes a little bit, we're still going to be in good shape. All right, Mark, you want to talk about the 4-week look ahead, and then we've got some pretty pictures after this for you.
Sure. So again, it's going to sound like a broken record, but we're still just going through these first couple months of just getting the foundations in. We've leveled the site. We're in the middle of marching around the building, getting in the interior footing foundations and as well as the exterior. To date, I would say we're probably a little over 50% done with all of the foundation work. So things are moving along right on schedule, very smooth. Right now, we're currently working kind of down by the auditorium area, southeast, I guess it would be in plan view. We've already done the academic tower. We've done the northerly piece that's up above. Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. And then the last piece we're going to do is the CTE spaces. So yeah, that's a pretty good up-to-date view of kind of what we've done. So everything in red is all of the foundations that are in place. So like I said, it's probably 50% or more at this point. Complete. All those little squares inside are all interior columns, so those have their own individual footings, so that's more concrete. The big yellow square that you see there is a huge 12-inch thick slab that makes up the auditorium theater area, stage and back of stage. That's a pretty big pour. It's like 200 yards. So we've got that scheduled for Monday. It was supposed to be this week, but it got pushed back for a couple of reasons. But that's currently on for Monday. And then, like I said, we just have the top right really to do after that. So things are going along good, and we're hoping to be done with the foundations at the end of December. This is the 2 large underground storm tech water detention systems that are part of the design that collects all of the on-site water, stores it so it's not running off into the streets and into the public. It collects it and it dissipates slowly from within. The top right one is over by teacher parking. That one is 100, that one's done. It still has a couple of catch basins and things to put in, but for all intents and purposes, that's finished. And we're about 2 days into that southern one, which obviously is a much larger system. That's ongoing. We're about 2 days into it. Hopefully we're hoping to be done by the middle of next week, right before the holiday. And those will be 2 big structures that are in place. And then we're also we received some catch basins and manholes which aren't showing up on this drawing, but it would be to the left of the academic tower. There's a bunch of drainage structures and whatnot all throughout the site, but we're currently putting the ones in to the left of the academic tower. So things are going good.
So curiosity question. As right now we've been blessed with beautiful weather. A little
Getting
chilly
cold.
for my taste, but as far as doing construction work, not a ton of rain during the workday. Clearly no snow yet. No major windstorms, which is odd considering we usually get hit pretty hard by now. I am curious though, is going forward, what do you all already have factored into your schedule predictability of winter weather and its impact on the work?
I mean, to the extent that a typical winter is, yes. I mean, if we get slammed with a whole bunch of storms that are out of the norm, then obviously that would be an impact.
Like we typically know February, we're going to get hit.
Yeah.
Usually right after February vacation, so that we have extra days off. But again, I'm assuming that that's all kind of built in.
It is. It's all baked
Okay.
into the overall schedule. But again, if we have abnormal winters, then.
Yep.
But right now, I mean, we've had some pretty easy winters here for the last couple of years. We've worked right through. So hopefully it stays the same.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. Just a couple of pictures right here of the foundations going in. Actually, I forgot to tell you, that geothermal loop is the picture on the right. So we were able to install that. So we've come out of the test well that was installed a year or so ago, down in the teacher parking area again, and have tied into that and have run the pipes, which you can kind of see coiled up at the end there, all the way to where the building foundation will eventually be, and we'll bring it into the building through the foundation once we build that foundation. So that's another piece that's in. And then the other 2 are just us putting in footings and forming foundation walls. The one in the middle is it's probably the tallest foundation wall on the project. It would be all the way on the east side of the building, CTE kind of area. It's about 8 feet high, so those are your tallest walls that are in the project, and we're currently building those now. A couple more views. The one on the left is one of those big squares that we looked at on that drawing, that red squares, the interior footings, just to give you an idea what those red squares look like in reality. The one in the middle is that storm tech drainage structure system, retention system. Kind of gives you an idea of what that looks like. It's just kind of like a big, huge septic system, but more for storm water than it is for septic. It just all dissipates through that stone and then through the ground that's underneath the stone is the design intent for there. And then on the right, again, we're just doing some more exterior foundation work. And that's it. Any other questions? I think I've already notified everybody we're done in the street, at School Street. We've done all of our tie-ins. I think I mentioned that. I don't know, it seems like a bunch of different meetings, but, so yeah, we should be out of School Street at this point. Everything's tied in and brought into the property line, which is good, and, yeah, things are going good. Building permit, as Kate said, has been applied for. I spoke with Jamie this morning. He's received it. He's working on it internally. He asked that I reach out to the fire marshal just to make sure that he's aware of everything. Jamie's doing it as well, but he wanted me to do it as well, just to make sure that, because he has his own separate review he's got to do. Yeah, that's about it.
So I have another curiosity question for both you and Chip. As the days have gone on with the school and the pickups, drop-offs, and just traffic in general, just you mentioning bringing everything within the footprint now, has everything still continued to go smoothly?
Yes, actually, even more so because everyone's used to the pattern now. I would actually go so far as to say that the traffic pattern is substantially better than it has been. The only hiccup, and it was nothing we can control, was when they were putting in the new water line. And so we just had to deal with, for a period of about a week, where buses needed to go right instead of left, and it was like, but it was, we worked through it. It was a minor thing, and other things like that might come up again. So I think improved communication between town and school department for that, I think would be important, like, so we know what to expect, so we can reroute. But other than that, I mean, I'm very happy with the way that the traffic flow is going. And it's minor. When I say improved, I don't mean like it's bad. I just mean like tiny little bit better of like us being able to communicate when a street's going to be shut down or something like that. But it's been really good.
I mean, I assumed as much because I hear nothing, and I think it's always nice when, oddly, when you don't hear. So I've not heard any chatter, and I haven't seen any chatter, so.
No, the parent drop-off loop, which was formerly the bus loop, that's been the best part because no one is queuing up now onto the street. So you can put so many cars in that loop that takes that out of the equation, and then it just has really improved it. And then the buses are now coming in 3 waves in the morning. So there's 21 buses, or 21 or 22 buses, then plus the mini buses, but they come in 3 waves. So that has worked really well. So they come in, they drop the kids off, they go out, the next group comes in, it's like same pattern. And so there's been no backup onto the street because of that too.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and that water work that Chip was referring to was Veolia work, town Veolia work, it was outside of us. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, we have a demolition and abatement contractor walkthrough tomorrow at the high school at noon with Chip. He's going to take us around. So that's kind of the last big piece of the puzzle, I think, from a purchasing standpoint. So the subcontractors will be walking around, putting their eyes on the building and seeing what they got to do.
Thank you. So I believe that wraps the South Kingstown High School project update. We do have, and I put this only for information only, the next item is number 4, change order task force process. Mm-hmm. It's just for information only, but if you wanted to keep going, we can reorder real quick.
That's easy enough for me to move ahead a page.
Okay.
So we had reported out at the last building committee meeting as well as the last town council meeting where we presented our report, our proposed modification to the limits and the process that the change order task force will follow. This was following our understanding that, or learning that the task force is required to follow all regulations relating to the Open Meetings Act. And one of the most challenging regulation that we found was the requirement for in-person meetings, and to be able to host a quorum of members at short notice in person was going to really limit us in our ability to be nimble and to be able to meet, on short notice. So we did make some modifications. We worked with Brian Sylvia, the finance director, kind of looked at town charter and processes within the town. So the proposed recommendations that were authorized by town council were remaining with the emergency condition of $5,000 or less on a time and material basis to be authorized in writing by the OPM. Unforeseen conditions up to $15,000 can be authorized by the town manager on an administrative basis. The task force would then review change orders between $15,000 and $50,000. The change order task force and building committee would review $50,000 to $100,000. Task force, building committee, and town council would review all change orders above $100,000. And then we did not change the limits for elective changes, which would be betterments or requests by the owner that are not as time critical, something that can be evaluated on a larger scale, and have a little bit more time to explore those options. So with that, we do have our first change order task force meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to review the first change order. That will be an increase to our contract relating to changes in some frost wall detailing, some changes to the structure or the slab itself. So that is a meeting that will be hosted tomorrow, and then we will report at the next building committee meeting for that one as well, because it does fall within the between $50,000 and $100,000 threshold. Any questions?
So I just want to make sure, and we talked about it a little bit kind of offline, that if the this new process ends up posing a issue as far as getting a quorum, then we may have to explore, and I think Luke, you talked about it as well, like either different days, times, things that we can be flexible with. But again, if it falls in people's work days who don't work for the town or the school, it may make it a little bit more challenging. So, but we're open to that. If a change needs to be made in membership, you know, we can navigate that as we need. But ideally, the team would be flexible with time and days to make sure that all the voices are there that need to be there.
Yes, and as a professional team, we can be flexible as well. And we had a similar conversation at the council meeting where they expressed their support for also remaining nimble with making sure that this process meets the needs and functions the way that it needs to function.
All right. So that brings us back into your presentation. I have it listed as discussion action, but I believe that was just a copy-paste situation from in error. I believe it is still an update. Curtis Corner project and athletic fields, just kind of getting an idea of where we are.
Yeah, not much of an update. I've been in communication with Studio Jade and preparing the advertisement for bidding for the demolition and site stabilization. So Phil and I are going to work on making sure we get that over to Luke and getting a bid due date within the month of December. We had on our schedule December 18th for our building committee for the building committee to review the bids that have come in for that scope of work. We would like to remain on that, especially with the holidays coming in, so we will continue to push to get that date realized. However, that does push us out planned into January for town council. So we do have, a gap there with the holidays, but understanding, giving as much notice as we can with our council agenda and the memos that need to go out. We are looking to be substantially complete with the selective demolition of the middle school, as well as the site stabilization and restoring the remaining area to a safe condition in the late summer of 2026. And then backtracking, after the bids are received, we are going to be moving forward with the design once we get that price certainty for the demo work, so we can move forward with the design of the athletic program with still an anticipated substantial completion of fall of 2027.
I hate to keep harping on this, but the one that I'm concerned about is the July-August 26th. As far as, I think I mentioned this the last time, for our fall sports, I'll have to get that stuff squared away by March. That's when our schedules will start to be in. So, like, I've already had conversations with my football coach and my 2 soccer coaches to tell them, listen, we have to be prepared to go somewhere else. So I just need to know if we're going to be able to be on that field, and also talking to Rex Eberly, who's the town supervisor for parks, having his crew get that field ready for next year as well. So have those conversations. I just need to know if we're going to be able to be over there. And I know you don't have that answer right now, but it's just I need to keep saying that just to make sure, because it's a big planning process that we're going to have to go through. You know, so where am I going to put my soccer team? Where's the football team going to play and whatnot? So.
Can I interrupt on that? I'm curious, as far as this timeline has been kind of driven by the high school project, but what I'm curious about is, and this is just a what if, I'm not asking to do it, but what if we waited until after his fall sport to do the demolition and site, like what if we shifted that piece so he could still have his fall sports as normal? Would that bump the ability to have the fall 2027 substantial completion?
I mean, at this point, we don't anticipate cutting off access to the fields for this scope of work. We would have to look at where the fencing will be, but it's just the existing middle school that we're touching, and the fencing will be around the middle school. So, and the site stabilization is just where we're taking down the portion of the middle school to infill that back in and make it safe.
So do you anticipate that field would not be touched until, so that could be possibly that we could have our fall sports out there next year?
Yeah, we need to confirm when we're going to start construction on the new athletic field. That's the caveat that we don't have the answer to yet. We don't know when we're going to begin construction on the new field, but as far as this scope of work, the demo and site stabilization, I don't anticipate that interrupting your scope of work, your sports.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing, because I'm hearing 2 different things. We're talking about fall of next year. You're talking about the demo. I think what Terry's talking about is construction on the field, which I don't think we can commit to.
No, I'm talking, I think
You're talking about the demo scope of work?
I'm talking about the demo. Is that going to interrupt? All I need to know is, will Curtis Corner football, soccer, will that field be, can we use that next year for my fall sports? That's my question.
The only reason I'm weighing is because I'm doing it in my head on typical construction schedules. I'm backtracking from fall of 27.
Yes.
Construction of athletic field, track, how long that takes. Now I'm in the 26, which means fall of 26 is probably going to be shut down in my mind. So I just want to make sure that we're clear we're not committing to fall sports.
I can commit to the fact that the demo work is likely not going to impact you, but to Luke's point, I can't commit to the start date for construction on the field yet. And we will keep you very much involved in that process.
Whatever it is, we'll make it work.
Yes.
But I just need to know, because like I said, in February, we're going to start getting fall schedules end of February, early March. So I have to start working on if we're going to go wherever. And we'll figure that part out, but I just need to know if we can get on that field, it's going to make life a lot easier. But if I can't, we have to go from there.
Well, I think we can really commit. We know our end date, and we have to back into that end date. But what I think is most going to impact our schedule is the scope of work, right? That we're going to be doing there. So we need to understand. I think we need to kind of get we have our preliminary plans that were done before that were not within budget. So we need to figure out the scope of work that is within our budget, and then build our schedule once we have kind of a schematic design of what that's going to be.
I'll just keep asking.
Please do.
So one thing I want to state is that there were a lot of people who were involved in getting this bond approved, and it, certainly our youth programs played a big role in that. I think it's extremely important. The most important thing about this particular phase of the project is that we are ready to go with the athletic fields for the fall of 2027. So I think that, we don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that being the case. I understand we're going to demo CCMS first, or do a partial demolition, or mostly the demolition of CCMS, but I think it's very, very important that when the high school opens, that at the same time these new athletic fields are opening. I really believe that's important. So I know it's more work, Terry, and I certainly am not, but I think if we need to move the fall sports.
That's all I'm asking. If we have to move
then we
them.
then we should. But I get you want a commitment, right? Because we don't want to like start. booking
Yeah,
stuff,
I'm not
but-
worried about
but-
moving them, right? I'm not trying to fight and say, listen, I don't want to move them. We'll go wherever we have to go. And I agree with what you're saying. We need to have those ready for 2027. So if that means that we have to go on the road or play soccer at Tuckertown Park or whatever it may be, we'll figure that out. But I just need to know that, that's all.
Yes,
Okay.
and you're obviously going to be very involved in the design process, so we'll keep you involved in the
appreciate that.
scheduling process as well.
So I want to make, that's to me the key piece, is that Terry and Chip both are
Yes.
big players in when it's time to do the planning, and not just the physical planning, but the schedule planning, that they're right there alongside so that they can plan accordingly, and besides having input clearly in the physical structure, but just for this conversation alone. And I have full faith that will happen, and we'll just make sure that it isn't, because every once in a while that happens, all of a sudden you're like, oh, we didn't invite so-and-so, but
Yeah.
you'll be at the table.
Yeah, these guys are the key members of our programming sessions, so.
Yeah, and I just want to also like point out too that when I get lots of questions about the new building and very positively, I'm able to speak about like the progress that's being made and like the confidence, and at least several times a week I'm like, no, we're going to be open on time, and I think people get reassured by hearing that. I want to have the same confidence with these athletic fields that like, nope, this is happening on time. I definitely want to get soon to that place with details, because I'm going to be honest, I am nervous about that, and I think it's not going to be a good look if we're not ready to go for fall of 2027.
We can play our football games at the University of Rhode Island. We got a guy that, that we can turn to try to get that done.
I'm not going to have a field either.
That's right, I forgot that, that's right. Oh
building
my
a
God,
track
that's
over
right. You're right.
So you guys
We're-
are
we're
competing
all
with
gonna be
URI
fighting-
for field
yeah.
space is what I'm hearing.
We're all going to be fighting over Narragansett.
Yeah.
I know, that's right. I forgot, as soon as I said that, I'm like, we don't even have a field there.
So, Kate, just to translate this into action, my request, unless the committee feels differently, the next meeting, we want a schedule of the design process starting in earnest, I would say in January, based on this, laid out. You know how long a construction of a typical facility, Gilbane can tell you that. Back up the schedule, back up the design process, give us a date, and lay it out. We need to know.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to say? I think Luke just dropped the mic, so we're good. All right. So that brings us to community comment. I don't see any I see community members here, but I believe they're not here as community members. So that then brings us to item number 7, discussion action, our next school building committee meeting. And we want to make sure we clarify the time if we can.
Yeah.
So is that December 4th? 1st and 3rd, yeah. And do we like the 5:30 change, or do we keep it with 6? Do 5. Then I'm making dinner at 4.
I could be over here as early as 2:20.
2:20. Well, 5:30, I think. Is 5:30 okay? Yeah, 5:30. Okay. 5:30, everybody? 5:30? Awesome. Everybody's a little excited about this. All right, so 5:30 is going to be our new time going forward. We changed with the clock, right? All right. I also, though, do want to, our next schedule after that is December 18th. We're keeping that, December 18th. It's going to be at 5:30. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I just want to map this out. So there will be action taken on the 18th that will then be passed up to the town council and school committee.
No, because I think the CCMS, and I've got to talk to the team offline because I think we're off a little bit on our schedules. That would be the CCMS demolition. But in order to get it on the council calendar and get everything prepped in advance, we'd be putting it on for early January. So that would be the vote to be carried to January for final approval by council, because we need to have it in advance. And there's just not enough time separation between the meetings. That'll also be into where we're going to be talking, and Kate, correct me if I'm wrong, but the GMP will be also heard in January, right? First meeting? The next GMP?
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying CCMS will be approving as a school building committee on the 18th, ideally, although we need to talk.
Yep.
And then January, first meeting in January for council would be for both CCMS and the GMP.
That's correct. Yeah, and we have our first January meeting building committee for GMP number 2, and if needed, Curtis Corner.
Does that make sense?
It does.
What day? Because the first meeting, in January, the first Thursday
It's the fourth, it's the first.
is the first, so that's true.
So we're going to talk because I think there's a schedule shift coming with
Okay.
CCMS.
Yeah.
If I were to
So
predict.
what we'll do
All right,
is
so let's just-
either on
We'll
December
be in touch.
4th or 18th, so on December 4th, and our next meeting on December 4th, I'm going to put it on the agenda to sort out the January meetings, because as Mike is just looking at his calendar right now, our first scheduled meeting in January is New Year's Day, and I'm not going to be here. So we'll want to figure something out either around that or look, kind of relook at our cadence. Just to make sure that we're still lined up with the town council and school committee whenever we need an action, so. But we can do that in our next meeting, we don't have to do that today. Polar plunge, no, I don't polar plunge. All right, so we have the 4th and the 18th are our next meetings, time is gonna be 5:30. So with that said, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Anyone, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Alrighty, we're adjourning at 6.